please get us kicked off. you got some stuff to say.
Look, Alex, who would you say is the greatest hitter in MLB history?
Barry Bonds.
Did Barry Bonds ever strike out?
He did.
Did Babe Ruth ever strike out?
I think so, yeah.
Look, sometimes you got to have a bad week. You can't hit a home run every time.
Yep. And look, the home run, look, those are the guys that get paid. They get paid the big bucks, right?
If our best bet series was an MLB player, I'd assimilate perfectly with modern day. I'm going to either hit a home run or I'm going to strike out.
Yep.
That's just how it's going to go. This week I went 0 for 4 with 4 strikeouts looking. Didn't even think about getting the bat off my shoulder.
Strike 3 and he knew it. Yeah, I mean,
we
look,
can't go 5-0 every week. That's really what I'm getting at here.
No. And sometimes you're going to go 1-4. And look, I like to say this every time that we get into this situation. I tend to be a straight shooter. I tend to go like 3-2, 2-3. Like most of the time, I'm not hitting these big swings. Jack is at the top of the world and at the bottom of the world.
And you know what's
and there is no real room for in between there.
You know what's great about that is I went 5-0 last week, famously. This week I went 1-4, also famously. I also still have the lead, 8-7 in our series so far.
Correct. So like, I mean, really, who's counting? But like, I mean, we are. But
we are. That's the whole purpose.
You know, the stats speak for themselves. The stats speak for themselves. I mean, it's clear. It's clear on the stat sheet there. Look, you had a tough week, but I don't really think it was on you necessarily. Like you had some bad beats this week. You had some bad beats this week.
Bad beat with the field goal being blocked. Packers lose to the Browns. Those are really the 2 bad beats.
Yep.
Bengals, Vikings was just a horrible pick, and Cowboys was just, I mean, truly, CD gets hurt. Just all around bad pick there. Don't really know what I was thinking. Pretty sure on the show last week I said, that Bengals pick is a bad one when I made it. I kind of knew it was coming for me there.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, Carson Wentz went out and balled. We'll talk about that a little bit later. I just want to quickly scratch your brain about that Packers game because, I mean, my roommate's a Packers fan, and I had to come home and see, like, the absolute heartbreak on his face after that 1 o'clock game where they should have won. Let's be incredibly clear. There is no reason that team should not have won that game. They're way better than the Browns. They had like a 10-point lead going into the final 3 minutes, and they somehow sold. So, like, I mean, from your perspective, I think that was a really good pick. It was a pick that I had listed on my, on my scores if I was to, get one off here. I don't hate any of the picks that you made. I'll be honest. I don't hate them. I don't love them. They clearly didn't work out for you, but I didn't hate any of them.
To answer your question, I truly have no idea what went wrong because I didn't watch a second of this game. Not one. As I've continued to do with every Browns game so far this season, I won't watch. However, what I can tell you is, at least on paper and in the box score, this Browns defense is elite. I mean,
it's very good.
Week 1, who they play? Week 1, they played the Bengals, and it was a 1-score game. They really probably should have won that. Their offense let them down. Week 2, they held Derrick Henry to like 30 yards rushing, and they almost beat the Ravens. Or they didn't almost beat the Ravens. They held the Ravens to like 20 points. That probably wins you most games.
A Ravens offense that has scored 30 and 40 points in the first 3 weeks, right? So like that, I think you take that every day of the week.
I mean, if you have a competent offense, you should be able to probably, if not win, at least flirt with winning that game.
Agreed.
They beat the Packers in week 3, holding them to, I believe, 10 points.
10 points. Yeah, 10 points.
So if you're the Browns, I mean, this season you knew was going to be a classic Browns season. You're going to watch 17 games of football and exactly no more and no less. And you were going to suffer through pretty much all of them. And I don't even think that you expected to have something bright to look at, but this defense is phenomenal. And if you can figure out the offense, I mean, now you have a guy like Quinshon Judkins who's shown that he actually can play in this league. I mean, he's looked really good through his first 2 weeks playing. So, I mean, shockingly, the Browns have stuff to be excited about. And I kind of like some guys on that team. Jerry Jeudy I like. David Njoku I like.
I don't hate Myles Garrett. I got no issues with a bunch of them.
I'm not even
Obviously,
talking about defense because Denzel Ward is an elite
yeah,
cornerback. But like even on the side of the ball that is a complete
bad.
dumpster fire. Yeah.
We talk about Joe Flacco all the time. Like we love us some Flacco ball.
And he's been bad, but I would
he's
still
been
rather
really
watch Flacco than Dylan Gabriel or Shadur Sanders.
Yeah, I'm the same. I'm in the exact same boat as you there. I don't think there's a ton to say about this Packers team. Look, their defense is going to be really good. Can their offense figure it out with Jordan Love? I mean, they've shown flashes through the first 3 weeks, right? The first 2 games, they seem to be clicking on all cylinders, but they're a team that does not have a true wide receiver one. It seems like they don't have like a true throwing option for Jordan Love. And like they have a bunch of really good receivers, like wide receivers 2 to 3 on any other team, but like, I don't know. I think that coming out of that Lions victory in week one, which, I mean, let's be honest, overreaction week one, that's kind of what we do.
Yep.
But
Our
that being said,
specialty, actually.
we kind of looked at that game and we went, okay, like maybe this is the team that comes out of this NFC division that has them, the Vikings, the Bears, the Lions, who have perennially been the best team in the NFC North for the past few years. Now you got 3 teams sitting at 2-1 again, and the Bears, who looked like they were starting to put it together last
they
week.
kind of look like they're about to figure it out.
You never really know because they were playing a horrendous secondary with the Cowboys, right? I mean, Trayvon Diggs just got burned all day by Roma Dunze last weekend. But like, this is another division where you're going to need to win divisional games, right? Like the Packers are going to be in the mix. The Vikings may be in the mix depending on what their situation is at quarterback. The Lions are definitely going to be in the mix. They've seemed to hit their stride and they're kind of figuring it out now. And it looks like the Bears can potentially cause some chaos on offense. Now, can they stop you on defense? It doesn't seem like it. But once again, like I think that this division has now opened up to being, one that you look at and you go, okay, there are 3 teams contending for the top seed. The Lions have scored 103 points. They've let up 78 points, which isn't great. But that being said, they're a team that's already lost to the Packers. So are the Packers still the favorite in this division? What are we seeing going forward? I think there's a lot of questions in the NFC North right now.
Yeah, I do too. But going back to the main point against the Browns, look, good teams lose big games. 2 years ago, the Chiefs won the Super Bowl, but they lost to Gardner Minshew and the Raiders. Right?
Yep.
Good teams have bad losses. I think this was just a bad loss for the Packers and maybe a bit of a reality check, which I don't think they needed, but clearly they did. But I think that they'll be fine moving forward. They play the Cowboys on Sunday Night Football this week. Micah Parsons is going back to Dallas. He might set the single game sack record. We will see. I'm kind of hoping for it. And hopefully they can get back on track, at least offensively. Because, I mean, their defense still played well. They held them to 13 points?
13 points, yeah.
13 points. So, I mean, 13 points should win you every game in the NFL. So I think that this will be a get-back game for the offense, and then they'll figure it out moving forward. Question about Sunday Night Football this week. Horrible game. I mean, Chiefs-Giants,
really
bad game.
Really bad.
The Chiefs looked horrible in the first half.
Yep.
I mean, really, really bad. We're tied with the Giants, 6-6 going into halftime. And then they come out and they have a couple touchdowns in the second half and they beat the Giants. Cool, whatever. What does this win mean for the Chiefs?
That's the question? What does the win mean for the Chiefs?
If you're a Chiefs fan, last week we talked about you need to go out and kill them.
Agreed.
I don't know if they did that.
They didn't.
If you're a Chiefs fan, how do you feel about this team? Do you feel any better?
I don't. I think that you still feel like your run game is non-existent right now. Pacheco, Kareem Hunt, all of them, they're not even adding up to 100 yards of total offense when it comes to rushing the football. Travis Kelce has looked like a shell of himself. Can't catch the football. He's having arguments on the sideline with Andy Reid. They can't score touchdowns. Patrick Mahomes is only thrown for 3 or 4 touchdowns this season, which is unbelievable when it comes to, the level of quarterback that we know him to be. We talk about their depleted offensive options. We get it. Tyquan Thornton has played really well and stepped up to the that Xavier Worthy role. Hollywood Brown has seen some touches, and I mean Juju Smith-Schuster has seen some touches as well. But let's be honest, this is not the full-fledged Kansas City Chiefs offense. When they get Rashee Rice back and when they get Xavier Worthy back, they probably will look a little bit better. That being said,
and if I just jump in real quick, I I don't think that's been Patrick Mahomes' fault at all. I mean,
I
I
don't
would
either.
love to hate on him, but he has looked
Yeah.
pretty great.
I agree. I agree. He's been putting balls where they need to be. They just have not. The plays have just not been made. Right. Now that being said, you were playing the New York Giants, who is one of the most dysfunctional teams in the NFL right now. Still had Russell Wilson starting at quarterback after, I mean, he played probably one of the best games of his career last week against the Cowboys. So I think that there was no scenario where they were going to start dart over him for week 3. We'll talk about that a little bit later. Cam Scadaboo might be like a little bit of a bright spot for this team at running back. He's one of those. You sent me a meme about it earlier. There are 2 types of white running backs. It's either Christian McCaffrey's, who are the guys that are like super intelligent in the backfield, and they're like your crayon eaters, like Cam Scadaboo, who just
What do you think
literally
Cam Scadaboo's favorite crayon flavor is?
probably blue, probably
Blue. I
blue.
was thinking blue all day.
Who just like hunt for contact all game, all day, all night. That being said, if you're a Chiefs fan, I don't think that this game was very convincing. You're now sitting at 1-2. You needed to win. So getting the win off your chest is probably a big thing. They played 2 pretty solid teams so far in both the Chargers and the Eagles, so I don't think you're super concerned about both of their losses. That being said, they're playing the Ravens coming up, and they have a tough slate of games, right? They got the Ravens. 2 weeks from now, they got the Lions. They got to play the Commanders, right? They got to play the Bills later on in November. So, like, this is a team that is going to have to play a really tough schedule going down the stretch. And then at the end of the season, you're going to see them play some divisional games where they'll probably win by 2 or 3 scores. But that doesn't matter now that you're sitting at 2-1, right? Like, you can't go into week 5, I think, in my opinion, sitting at 1-3, right? And that goes for
One
both
and
the
three is
Chiefs.
pretty close to. It's pretty close to the threshold for death in the NFL.
Agreed. And that goes for both the Chiefs and the Ravens. Like, I'm looking at this game that's coming up this weekend and going, this is a huge game for both teams. I don't think you're super convinced about this Chiefs win. They played one of the worst teams in the NFL. They only scored 22 points. They looked better after the half. I agree with you on that. But that being said, if you're the Chiefs, I don't know where you go from here.
I mean, I guess we'll see. I mean, you mentioned the Ravens real quick and how they're 1-2 right now. Are they on fraud watch? We were watching the game this week, and we were talking about how they haven't beaten a contending team since they beat the Bills last like October, early November. That's
Yep.
a long time if you're a quote unquote great football team. And I think that many people think that they are. But as you mentioned, if you drop to 1-3, it's pretty close to that zone where you pretty much discount them for the playoffs. And so going into this week, who do you think 1-3 is worse for, the Ravens or the Chiefs? And do you think the Ravens are on fraud watch?
I personally think that, one, I don't think the Ravens are on fraud watch yet. That being said, they can't win close games, right? So they need to be up by 2 scores going into the 4th quarter and just hold on for dear life. You saw it against the Bills. You saw it against the Lions. The way that they play football does not attribute them to winning close games. Look, they're going to play 3 out of 4 division champions, right? The Bills week 1, the Lions week 3, now the Chiefs week 4. That's a tough slate of games. It is. Like, those are 3 perennially good teams in the NFL nowadays. Obviously, you have your Browns win last week or 2 weeks from now. And then your schedule gets a little bit easier. So in my opinion, I think that the Chiefs need this one more than the Ravens. I think the Ravens can get hot.
No one's expecting the Ravens to win all 3 of those.
I agree.
Just one. You need them to win
Agreed.
one.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. That being said, their division, the AFC North, is going to be contested by them, the Steelers, and the Bengals. The Bengals don't have a starting quarterback. They don't. So that team is going to fall off like crazy, in my opinion. Secondly, the Steelers have not looked great. We're going to talk about them a little bit later when we talk about the Patriots. But this division that was like, we touted as being a little bit scary coming into the year, as like there are 3 teams that could really make a push towards the playoffs, it's kind of teetering, in my opinion. Right. So I think that you could see the Ravens sneak into the playoffs at like 10-7. I don't think that they need to win games like the Chiefs do right now, who are trying to chase the Chargers, who you've already lost to. Right. The Chargers are now 3-0.
Phenomenal.
They look very good. They're 3-0. They have played 3 division rivals. They beat the Chiefs. They beat the Raiders. They beat the Broncos. Right. So they have a game up on every team in that division. So in my opinion, I'm looking at this and I'm saying for playoffs, which is really far away. Let's be honest. It's not now. But like you said, that 1-3, you don't want to fall to that if you're a team in the NFL, because that gives you no leeway to lose games down the stretch. But The Chiefs are in much more dire scenario, in my opinion, than the Ravens are right now. Um, so I think that the Chiefs are looking at. I think both teams are looking at this as a must win, but I think the Chiefs need it more than the Ravens.
Yeah, and I totally agree with pretty much everything you said there. And it's really just because of the divisions. Justin Herbert is leading the NFL in passing yards. He Keenan Allen is leading the NFL in touchdown receptions, right? Like
Yep.
this team is great. And I think
Hmm.
that the momentum has shifted from the Chiefs being the team to beat in the West in the AFC West to the Los Angeles Chargers being that team. And they may not even be the better football team at the end of the season, but just like you mentioned, they're 3-0 against three division rivals. That's half the games that you absolutely need to win. Moving on. You mentioned the Patriots real quick. We don't have to
Hmm.
spend forever on this game, but 5 turnovers is ridiculous. I don't know if I've ever screamed at my television as I'm not really a screaming at the television guy. I was screaming at my television every single time this weekend, possibly my most screamed at game
Yep.
of all time. It was
Yep.
horrible. I mean, every single time you crossed the 50, it was like, who's going to cough it up? And it was a different array of guys. For me, it's time to give Henderson a shot. You can't keep letting Ramondre rock. He led the league in fumbles last year. He had
Hmm.
two on Sunday. It's time for him
Hmm.
to slide into that secondary role. You just can't trust him with the ball right now. And why not give the guy that you drafted in the second round a shot? Look around the league. Rookie running backs are running it. I mean, Omarion Hampton for the Chargers, Quinshawn Judkins for the Browns, Cam Skattebo for the Giants. There hasn't been a miss yet.
Yep.
Might as well give him a shot.
Agreed. I agree with that. I think that it's time for Travion Henderson to take over the backfield. That was something that we anticipated happening coming into the season. I'm surprised it's taken so long. I think a positive takeaway, if you are a Patriots fan like we are, is that Drake May has played very good football. You know what I
He
mean?
looks
Like
great.
he's thrown for touchdowns, he's thrown for yards. Sure, he has a little bit of an interception problem. I think he's averaging about one a game right now, but he's also throwing touchdowns to no one, right? Like who on this team is a fantastic receiver? I mean, we signed Stephon Diggs. I get it. He's a little bit older. He's a little bit more washed now.
I think he's
Doesn't
kind of
look like
doing
the
his
same
job.
player.
Yeah.
Agreed. Agreed. He's supposed to be a veteran in the locker room. I mean, and Hunter Henry looks really good. He looked really good last week. 2 touchdowns, 90 yards, 8 receptions. Like all that stuff is really cool. Um, but then you still got guys like Kayshawn Booty and
I
like
still think
Demario
he's playing
Douglas
well too. I mean, like,
and Mac
and
Hollins taking snaps. Like, I mean, they're fine. They're fine. But like you said, can you trust them with ball security coming down to it in a tight game?
but they're not the problem. They were
Okay.
never the problem. Drake May had a pick and a fumble. That's two. Two turnovers. Ramondre Stevenson had two. Antonio Gibson had one. That's your running back room, right? Your wide receivers were not the problem when it comes to turnovers. I think that they're kind of doing their job and they're waiting for that number one guy because you're right. We don't have a number one guy. But I think that even these guys are, I mean, Austin Hooper's stepping up. He had a couple huge first downs. Um, Kayshawn Booty has been stepping up. Demario Douglas is a real problem right now. If you look at the Patriots, he has done absolutely nothing. And I think that the only takeaway that you can possibly positively spin from this is you had 5 turnovers and you still lost by a touchdown. You only give up
Agreed.
21 points, which again should
Agreed.
win you most games in the NFL. So,
Yep.
so moving forward, I think that it has to be Travion Henderson in the backfield. But the frustrating part is we knew this offense was going to take a couple weeks to figure out. It doesn't even look like schematically they're struggling right now. And those are the Raiders and the Steelers are two games that you probably should have won looking back
Hmm.
on it and lost
Yep.
because of turnover margin.
Yep. I agree. And I think that the Patriots are kicking themselves if that comes to it because you and I have both mentioned, I mean, you more so than me, that like these first 6 weeks are crucial for this Patriots team and their playoff potential, right? This is a team that is going to have to win next week, in my opinion, if they're trying to make a push towards the playoffs because the teams that you need to be beating right now are the ones that we play in the first 6 weeks, like you said, like the Raiders, that's a game that you have to win if you're the Patriots, in my opinion. You know, now you're going into playing more teams like the Bills, who are, you look at those teams in the schedule and you go, we're probably losing to the Bills. You know what I mean? Like that's not something that you want to be looking forward to coming to the end of the season. So I do think that they have a lot of question marks to answer coming into the next few weeks.
And I think this Sunday's a big one for the Patriots. They're
Mm,
going against Carolina. I believe they're going
mm.
to Carolina, who are coming off a 30-point shutout. That's a pretty strong game. I mean, they're not a great team, but you got to prove that you can beat even those middle of the pack kind of teams. Um,
Convincingly too, right? Like
yeah,
you
exactly.
beat you beat the Dolphins in week 2. That wasn't a convincing win against a bad football team. Like, let's call a spade a spade. So this I agree. This is a question mark for the Patriots defense. Do we have Christian Gonzalez back, or is he going
But
to
I
be
believe so. I believe he'll be
okay?
back this week.
So that'll
We
help
need
their
him. We
defense.
need him against a
Yeah,
guy like McMillan so
agreed.
badly.
Agreed.
So just real quick, we talked about the two best teams in the NFL.
Hmm.
Uh, it's got to be Eagles and Bills, right? I think
Yeah,
Bills are the best
probably.
team in the NFL. I think Eagles are probably 2, even though they've had a couple good games or a couple close games. Uh, it feels like they're kind of a step above everyone else in the league right now.
Until we get to the playoffs, yeah. I mean, the Bills have proven to not be a team that can perform in the playoffs. But other than that, I think you're right. I think, look, this Eagles team has had to mitigate some really strange offensive issues with like second half performance. I mean, against the Rams, they scored 26 unanswered points in the second half. Like, that is what a Super Bowl caliber team does. That being said, I don't know why you don't let Jalen Hurts throw the ball. Why? Why do we wait until the second
Well,
half to watch him throw? I mean, I get you have Saquon Barkley on your roster. That makes sense to me, right? But like, there's no reason that he should only be throwing for 226 yards. He has guys like A.J. Brown who need more than 6 receptions a game. I'm sorry. Like, they have to let him throw the ball. They don't do it in the first half, and then they switch over to the second half, and boom, everything opens up. Look, I think Saquon Barkley is going to take a step back this year. You're already seeing it. He had one of the best running back seasons of all time last year, but he just doesn't seem like he has that same pop coming into it. I think the reason for that is because there's so much pressure on stopping Saquon Barkley. The whole field is open. Let Jalen Hurts throw the football. That's my takeaway for the Eagles.
yeah, I mean, I think it's fair if you know that they're going to be one dimensional going into the week, and you can focus on that one dimension. They haven't proved otherwise yet. But that being said, they find ways to win, and can you really hate a team that find ways to win? I mean, it was ridiculous the way that they won this week. I will be the first to say that, but they
Mm-hmm.
still put a win in the column against a good team.
Correct.
I mean, that
Correct.
Rams team is a good team.
Yeah, I agree.
They're somewhat uncontested in the NFC West. Do you think that they're flirting with the Super Bowl contender title?
I don't think so. I think they're a little too old. I think Stafford probably isn't going to get another ring for them. But that being said, I think that they win the NFC West outright, and I think it's a pretty clear win for them. What about yourself?
I mean, I don't know. They were never really a Super Bowl favorite, even when they
Mm-hmm.
won.
Yep.
But Devontae Adams has looked great through 3 weeks. Puka
He sure
Nacua,
has.
I mean, if they can keep him on the field, which I mean, Stafford throws him some hospital balls. Let's be real.
Yep.
He
Yep.
gets banged up, but he also catches about 13 passes a game.
Yep.
Um,
I
so
mean,
I,
and you
I
also have
think
a
it's
guy
too.
like
I think it's too
Kyron
early.
Williams.
Yeah, I think it's too early to call them a Super Bowl contender. But if we're
Yeah.
still looking at them around week 10 in the same way, then I think that you can absolutely slap that title.
Yeah, I mean, you're looking at a division with a 3-0 team in San Francisco who haven't played anyone, in my opinion, and also don't have Brock Purdy right now. And then you have 3 2-1 teams in the Rams, the Cardinals, and the Seahawks, right? So, like, what are those teams going to do down the stretch? I don't think that this is the best division in football by any means. Sometimes records can be a little bit misconstrued. Like, I don't think the Cardinals have really played anyone yet. But that being said, like, you're right. The Rams are kind of having a resurgence. Devontae Adams looks good under, a system that we kind of felt like he was going to perform in, right? Now that he has more time to like fit into the system, get a role, like all these types of things that he didn't get to do at the Jets. I think this is kind of what we expected. But yeah, I think the battle will be between the Rams and the 49ers coming down to it.
Indiana Jones, dude, he's so sick. Daniel Jones. I mean, sometimes, seriously, sometimes it takes quarterbacks moving to a new spot to like become themselves. And I think that getting out of the New York media market was huge for Daniel Jones. And they
Agreed.
clearly actually are giving him the tools, and he
Yep.
looks pretty comfortable.
Yep.
Now, I don't think the Colts have really played anyone phenomenal so far. But at the same time, if you get confidence behind your guys going 3-0 in the first 3 weeks, and I mean,
Mm-hmm.
they will just put the pedal to the metal and continue to score for the entire game. That's what they're
Yep.
going to do. I love
Yep.
that. They look like they're playing with confidence right now. Jonathan Taylor looks like the best running back in the league. Daniel Jones looks like he's actually a very competent quarterback behind center. And I know it's only been 3 weeks. We've seen this from him before, but is it ridiculous to say that he might actually be a legitimate starting quarterback in the NFL? Because right now it doesn't look like it.
I don't think so. I don't think it's ridiculous to say at all. I also think that he took over this backfield he took over the quarterback position from the Colts and from Anthony Richardson, somebody that they drafted in the first round. You
Who's
know what I
still
mean? So
young.
like, who's still young and has a lot of potential, and no one's saying that he doesn't. I mean, he can throw the ball a country mile. But that being said, like there is a reason that he's behind center, and they feel like he is the guy right now. And I understand that the way that he's played for the first 3 weeks. You saw flashes of it with the Giants. He had one season where he got super paid, and then let's be honest, their offensive line completely collapsed around him. He lost all his confidence. Now he's building it back up. This week is going to be a test for them. They are playing the Rams, a team that we just highlighted. Um, and they're going to be going against this team has a better pedigree than any team that they've played so far. This team is a more contenderish than any team that they played so far. And you're right. I think that you can bank on guys like Jonathan Taylor having really good years. He's seeming like he's going back to that, what was it, 2023, 2022, maybe?
Who? Yep.
2022 season where he was just lighting the world on fire. But I really do like what I've seen from Daniel Jones so far. And I am pulling for him. Like, I hope that he can continue to be a player at this level.
Yeah. The next thing I wrote down was let's not talk about how fucked the Bengals are. So let's not do it. Seriously, I don't want to talk about them anymore. They are so bad. They are so hard to watch play football. Seriously. So instead, I'm going to
Seriously.
ask: is JJ McCarthy the guy, or do you think they rushed him out there too early? He's coming off a big injury, and he's still young. It's still his technically rookie season. And you put Carson Wentz out there, a guy with some experience, and granted, it's against the Bengals,
Hmm.
but they had 50 points, Alex. 50 points. JJ
Yeah,
McCarthy's offense didn't look good like that once. So if you're the Vikings, are you going to maybe let him ride in the backup role for the next? I mean, I don't think you stick with Carson Wentz for the rest of the season, but do you not rush him to get back on the field? Maybe give him some time behind Wentz to kind of understand what it's like, and then put him back out there maybe week 8, let him see how he's feeling? Or do you put him back out immediately? Is he your guy?
sure. I mean, look, the Vikings had 2 defensive touchdowns in that game. They were absolutely everywhere on defense. We've talked about Brian Flores' defensive schemes for the past few years. We knew that Jake Browning was going to go out there and get probably smothered. And we also know that from a Bengals perspective, they need to sign a quarterback if they want to contend. Not what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about the Vikings. I think that Carson Wentz is probably a guy that can potentially fit into that Ryan Fitzmagic role of being like a perennial like backup quarterback who sometimes can win you a game, sometimes can't win you a game. I don't think he's the answer if you're Minnesota, even though they have so many weapons that it's hard to be bad at quarterback for Minnesota. Um, I wouldn't be surprised if they rest JJ McCarthy for another week. It feels like he could use the rest. He seems like a guy that, like, week 1 comes in, first game, overcomes some adversity. Week 2, he looked like a deer in headlights. We're not really sure what we're seeing from him yet. And I never really had a ton of faith in him coming out of college. And I don't really know what we're going to get from him going forward. But that being said, I think that you do roll with Carson Wentz for a few more weeks, maybe let JJ McCarthy get his health right. And I mean, this team clearly has so much faith in JJ McCarthy being their guy that I wouldn't be surprised if you see them switch back to JJ McCarthy come soon.
Yeah, Kevin O'Connell's a quarterback guy. He sees something there. And if he does, then I'm
Agreed.
going to let him. I'm going to trust him with it. I don't think Wentz is your guy. Um, I think that he gives you some flexibility to, uh, rest JJ McCarthy for a little longer. But if he goes out and has another 2 to 3 weeks where he looks like they win games dominantly, it becomes a real conversation in my mind.
Mm. Agreed.
Dude, the Texans are. I'm trying to look for the right adjective to describe them. Putrid, possibly. They're putrid. They're vile. They're so bad.
They're not good. Not a good football team
They're
right now.
0-3. There's
Yep.
one football team in the 21st century to go 0-3 and still make the playoffs. Luckily, it was the Houston Texans with Deshaun Watson, 2018. If the Texans are not competing for a playoff spot by the end of the season, do you re-sign CJ Stroud for a second contract?
It's a real question mark, and I think it really comes down to how well he performs in the next few weeks, because he has looked like anything but the player that he was as a rookie. which showed intense flashes of being a really good player in the NFL. But nowadays, you are looking at a guy who is a shell of his former self, and that is a really big problem. Now, that being said, he's losing confidence. This offensive line is not good. It is not putting him in a position to win. Joe Mixon doesn't really seem like a fantastic option for them. Nick Chubb, like they have
He hasn't even played a
nothing.
game yet.
I know, but like they have nothing going on offense. Absolutely nothing. And I mean, we talk about D'Amico Ryan a lot because we believe that he's a good head coach. Does it come down to coaching at this point, or is it just that they don't have the players on the roster?
I think it's a good question. I think that CJ Stroud needs some leeway. I mean, you can see you have seen his possibly not his ceiling. I'm going to say for conversation purposes, you've seen his ceiling. You know what you're getting with him. You know what you can possibly get with him. If he's not playing to that level, I don't necessarily know if it's his fault. I mean, quarterbacks have sophomore slumps, but they don't go from being that good like he was to as bad as he is right now permanently. That just does not
Right,
happen.
right.
So I think that he kind of needs to get back on track. And as you said, it's a conversation issue. He just doesn't look confident back there. He looks like he's kind of like he's got his feet are moving a lot in the pocket. He's not setting for throws properly. His offensive line's horrible. He's gotten sacked so many times this season, and he just doesn't really have that many reliable targets like he's had in the past. So I think that he needs some leeway. But if you finish with an under 500 record this year, it starts to be a real conversation of do we need to just switch things up?
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I agree. So we'll see with them. I mean, that'll be something that we watch as the season goes on because it is a very big concern if you're the Houston Texans, right?
Yeah, for sure. The Giants, New York Giants, announced this week that they're moving on from Russell Wilson. They're going to give Jackson Dart a shot under center. What does that mean? Does it mean anything for the Giants? Is it the right move? Is it the wrong move? What do you think?
You think it's a little too early, if I'm being honest. I think you're sending him out there to get absolutely hammered behind that offensive line. Look, this was always the goal, right? This was always the project. You knew that they were signing guys like Russell Wilson, like Jameis Winston, to get him, Jackson Dart, up to speed, ready to play in this position. He is what now? I mean, I don't count JJ McCarthy. He's the first rookie quarterback that's really going to be starting NFL football this year. Or Cam Ward,
Cam
I guess
Ward.
as
Yeah,
well.
Cam Ward.
Yeah. But that being said, like he's had 3 weeks to figure out what the offense is going to look like. I think it's a bad move to start him this early. But that being said, they have nothing going for this fan base. So like maybe you have to give them something to be excited about.
Yeah, I think Dable's looking for a reason to keep his job, one,
Correct.
because I think
Which
he gets
I
fired
don't
at the end
know.
of the season regardless.
I
But
don't know
if
how he still has a job. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, if you put a rookie quarterback in, you can be like, well, it's not my fault. You know, this guy's figuring it out. I agree with you. It's too early. Uh, I mean, he could possibly break his career if he goes out there and it's just like the worst quarterback in the NFL. We saw it with Bryce Young. He got put out there too early. 3 years in, he's still kind of got that this guy hasn't figured it out yet around him because he was never really properly given the chance to. So I agree. I think it's too early. Um, if you're going to be bad, at least be bad with a purpose. Right now, it feels like you're just trying to give your fans a reason to keep coming to the games. And that's a
Hmm.
serious problem, like a long-term serious problem in my mind.
Yeah. I agree with that. I agree with that. All right. Let's make some picks, shall
Let's
we?
make some picks, dude. Come on. I need to get
Look,
back in the saddle.
I won last week, which means that I get first overall pick. For those of you who don't know how we do this, we pick 3 games based on the spread. I pick first, Jack will pick second, and it goes on like that. We pick one game of the week. The game of the week is the game that we predict will probably be the most interesting, the one that has the highest stakes. And then we pick one not game of the week, where if you're watching it, we pray for you because it's going to be so bad. This week, I get to start my first pick this week, a team that doesn't really have a quarterback right now, but Marcus Mariota looked really good last week. I'm going to take them anyways. I think that the Commanders get it done over the Atlantic Falcons, and they do it by more than 3 points.
Cool. Yeah, I don't hate that pick. Falcons look bad. That's all I got to say. Chargers look phenomenal, and they're playing this Giants team that we just mentioned are completely lost in their sense of direction. I think they'll win by a touchdown. I think they'll win by many touchdowns, but I think that they'll win by 6.5 and cover the spread.
Yeah, good pick as well. Kicking it back to me, this is a game that we just kind of previewed here. I'm expecting Daniel Jones to go out and prove it again this week against the LA Chargers. I think the Colts will either win or lose by less than 4 points. I have the Colts plus 3.5 over LA.
Yeah, they're playing the Rams. I think that you're kind of throwing all your eggs in one basket here because you want to see the Colts win. I know you do. So you're also taking them plus 3.5 so that if they lose, you're going to be properly crushed. I got a lot of respect for that.
Yeah, no
Um,
problem.
Took the Packers last week. Also, I took the minus 7.5 against the Browns. Really bit me in the ass. Playing the Cowboys on Sunday Night Football. I think it's going to be murder, to be honest with you. I think they're going to win by more than a touchdown. I got them minus 6.5 as well.
Good pick. My last pick here, I have the Eagles minus 3.5 over the Bucks. Look, Howie Roseman's got some black magic, devil voodoo stuff going on in that front office, and they seemingly just cannot lose football games. I think that they will get it done over the Bucks.
But if it's a close football game, I think the Bucks win it. They have.
You're a Baker guy. Look, you're a Baker guy.
Look,
You can
I'm a
put
Baker
the
guy,
hand up and
but
just say you're a Baker guy. Yeah.
Look, okay, I got both hands up. I'm a Baker guy, but also they've won. They're 3-0 this season, and all 3 games have been won on game-winning touchdown drives. That's how you win close games properly.
All right.
If it's a close game and they have the football, they're probably going to win it. I think that's a risky one for sure. You're betting on the Eagles to win by much more than 3 points. You're betting on the Eagles to win by 8 or more. Sorry, I don't like that pick at all. I stayed away from that one on purpose. I actually thought about Bucks plus 3.5. Bears minus 1.5 over the Raiders. Really like the way they looked last week against the Cowboys defense. Now the Raiders are a little bit better, but at the same time, I think it's time for them to prove it against, even just a mediocre defense. I think you take steps, right? You beat a bad defense, then you beat a fine defense, and then maybe you beat a good defense if you're lucky enough. I think they are probably going to beat this fine defense this week. So I have them minus 1.5 over the Raiders.
Right. All right. Not a bad pick. Not a bad pick here. Let's talk about game of the week this week. A game that, we both highlighted over the course of the show. We don't have to delve too much into it. We have Ravens at the Kansas City Chiefs here. Who do you think is going to come out on top of Ravens Chiefs?
Yeah, I think the Ravens go in and I think they get it done. They're putting up way too many points right now for the Chiefs to keep up with. And even though their defense looks like barbecue chicken, the Chiefs have to figure it out. And I don't know if they'll be able to do that. I got the Ravens winning this week.
I'm going to stick with you as well. I'm going to go with the Ravens here. Not game of the week. This one was an obvious one. It was just clearly on the scorecard. You knew that this was going to be the worst game this week. It's a divisional game between the Jets and the Dolphins, 2 0-3 teams going at each other at Miami. Who do you think gets it done? Will Aaron Glenn get his first win this week? Will Mike McDaniel get fired after the Jets win? If you couldn't tell, I'm going to take the Jets on this one.
Yeah, I like your Jets pick. I think that's a fun one. And if you didn't take it, I was going to take it, but I am going to take the Dolphins here. I think that they have flashes of being a good team. I think it all depends on whether, if it's a close game, Tua's going to throw a pick that will end it. If they are winning in the fourth quarter, they will win the football game. So, I want to take the Jets, but for rivalry purposes, I'll take the Dolphins and mix it up.
Sounds good.
All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening. As always, this has been another edition of The Corner Office, and I'm Jack Byrne.
I'm Alex Penders.
Corner 3.
Corner 3.